How do you live with uncertainty and uncomfortable feelings? Beautiful. Anytime we are finding anything to be uncertain, uncomfortable, we just got to remind ourselves, life has never been certain. Life has never actually been comfortable unless you were so fixated in your mind that you created a level of order. Because how many of you ever tried observing life to the extent that you're just seeing how many things are happening in this very moment? And you realized, wow, it's pretty chaotic. Yes or no? Life is pretty chaotic. In fact, you and I having this one moment right now, is this the only moment happening on planet Earth as we speak? Is this the only moment happening on planet Earth? How many other moments is happening in this very millisecond as you and I are connecting? How many moments? Probably billions, if not trillions. Yes or no? Now, let me ask you, are you in control of those trillions of moments happening right now as we speak? Are you in control of it? No. And it only takes one person in one of those trillions of moments to do something wrong that can possibly impact us in this very moment right now. So what we got to remind ourselves, as a great saying goes, relax. Nothing's under your control. And anytime your mind is saying, oh, I'm comfortable, there's nothing happening, right? It's certain. You got to remind yourself, it's just a lie. Your mind's just creating a level of order, but you got to remind yourself, life is chaotic and it always will be. And that's okay. It's not the chaos that creates the problem. It's never the situation that's creating the problem. It's your stories about the situation and the meaning that you're giving it. That's what you're labeling as a problem. Think about this from a stress perspective. Every time you're stressed is because you're resisting, right? Stress is nothing but a byproduct of life not fitting your pictures. How many of you noticed that? Anytime life doesn't look like the image you have in your mind, you're stressing yourself out, right? So remember, there's a very big difference between ED words versus ING. Now, this is a very important awareness for every single one of you. Anytime you're using words that end in EG, such as overwhelmed, I am scared, right? I am what else? Ending in ED, stressed, tired. Anytime you're using words that end in ED, it describes conditions that you're doing to yourself. Because if you now replace the overwhelmed ED with now ING, you're awakened to the realization of what you're actually doing. If somebody's saying, Tim, I am overwhelmed, now they replace it with ING, notice what ends up happening. Because they'll now say, I am now overwhelming myself by, and if I was to ask them, what are you doing? If they were to be honest, they'll say, well, I'm overwhelming myself by imagining I cannot handle this situation. Are you awake? Are you seeing this? Anytime you are saying, I'm scared, no, you're scaring yourself by imagining worst case scenarios that hasn't even happened. There's a very big difference. How many of you needed that awareness right now? Anytime you are saying to yourself, I am overwhelmed, notice you are overwhelming yourself. Not the situation, you are overwhelming yourself. Because have you ever noticed anytime you're really overwhelmed? I noticed this even yesterday for me, right? I was overwhelmed and I realized the narrative I was having in my mind is, this is overwhelming me, right? I am overwhelmed. I am overwhelmed. Have you ever noticed anytime you're overwhelmed, you're saying, I'm overwhelmed? You are literally describing a condition, therefore, you're doing to yourself. I mean, what I'm talking about. So the key here, write this down, is ED versus ING. If you just remember this one key insight, it will free you because it always helps you to understand what are you currently doing to yourself.